Hi, this is KimPeck.com at My Stamping Garage, and you'll notice here that I have a dandelion card, and this is actually in my February card kit. So for those of you that are putting your kits together, I'm going to step you through making this card. If you have questions about my card kits, you can contact me at kpeckstamp@gmail.com. The first thing I'm going to show you is how I made this outside piece, and actually the one I'm going to make is going to be just a little bit different as far as the background goes. Yours is pre-done, so you don't need to worry about this part, but I just wanted you to know how I did this. So I'm going to start with our blending brushes. These come in a package of 3 brushes for $12, and I keep one for each color family. So for like greens and blues, yellows, reds, oranges. Purples. So it just is easier for me than getting up every time I do not have a sink in my garage where my craft room is. And so it just works easier for me than trying to clean these out each time. The bristles are very close together, so you'll notice that the ink doesn't go clear to the bottom, which is nice. And if you haven't used them recently, when you go to do this, it's not bleeding color, even though it's stained here. So it makes it fine to go from color to color, as long as you're not like mixing this with red or something. So what I did here, when you want to get kind of an even look on your paper, I just kind of went back and forth on my ink pad. And then before I go on my paper, I just kind of blot it on my scrap paper so that I don't get that initial blot of dark color. And then I just go in and start blending. And I can do that several times to get the look I want until I have the darkness that I want. I'm going to do it one more time, I think. And you'll occasionally get like a little edge or something, but when I'm doing the sky, I think it looks more natural that way. So next I'm going to do this with my green, and this is the Pear Pizzazz. And you kind of get used to the ribbon of swipe, swipe, tap. But there you get kind of that even background. And so that has been done for you. The other thing that's already done for you is I have used the little die. And for this, I used the Dandy Wishes die set. And you'll notice that it coordinates with the Garden Wishes stamp set. It comes in a bundle where you save 10%, and it's called the Garden Wishes bundle. And so this die will cut this stamp out. This die here cuts this one. And then there's 2 dies for the bee so that you can cut more than one at a time. And there's even a little die, which is this one that I used, for that little bee trail. And so I've already done that for you. I've used the die here to get that. These pieces are the other pieces in the kit. They don't coordinate with a stamp set, but they allow you to build a dandelion out of the different pieces. So those are pre-cut for you. And I'm going to grab my kit here now. The background that I used is Pool Party. And you can go ahead and fold your card base over. And then be sure when you pull these out that you use this piece with the little bee trail and the background already done for you for the outside. And you can go ahead and attach that. And then there should be a blank piece for the inside. And there's no saying on the inside of this one. And then you've got all your many, many pieces for your dandelions. And so I find the easiest thing, since you're going to have enough for 3 cards, is to separate them out into the different pieces. You'll notice there are 2 different kinds of leaves. One's bigger than the other. So I would put all 3 of the small ones in a pile. It's just easier as you create the card. And there are 2 different grasses. One's bigger than the other. I don't know if I have those out of camera reach. Hopefully you can see those. Let me pull them down. There we go. And then for the dandelion, there are actually 4 different sizes of the dandelion pieces. And so when you layer them, you get that real textured 3D effect. and then you should have your sayings. Now, the greeting that I used for my sample here is out of the Garden Wishes stamp set, so that same bundle, and then I just used the Tuxedo Black ink. And I cut this all with the stitched rectangle dies. I don't know what I'll do when that die set goes away. I use that more than any set that I own. For your saying, I printed this off using font from my computer. So, and then cut it out. I'm not allowed to sell pre-stamped images. So, and then on the back side, if you don't like the saying that I did, you can always turn it over and use your own greeting set and stamp on the back. Okay, so let's start assembling our card. And what I did here was, you will notice I already put adhesive on this stem since it's so fine. It's hard to add. The adhesive sheets come in a package of 10, and they're 6 by 12 inches. So you can get quite a bit out of that package. And all I do is I adhere it to the cardstock that I'm going to cut out with my dies. And then I go ahead and cut it on the Stampin' Emboss machine, Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And so you'll see that it's white on the one side. You're just going to take that backing off. And now I have a pre-adhered, so it's got adhesive on the back already. So it's a self-stick kind of thing. And I'm going to go ahead and put that down. And then next I'm going to put my leaves. And this one. I'm going to add my grass over the top because a lot of times you'll find the dandelion poking up out of your grass. If you don't want that part, you don't have to add it. And I probably put mine a little high. You might want to pull everything down a little bit so that your dandelion doesn't go off the top. I can always go up and cut that stem a little bit if I need to. Okay, so now my dandelion base is in the grass down here. And now I'm ready to start building the dandelion itself. So this one comes on the stem. So when you cut this piece, you get this plus the stem attached. So I cut this out of the crushed curry. This is Old Olive. And you'll notice where that little stem was attached there. I'm just going to trim that off. And then I'm going to adhere that base straight down. Because I'm building it up 3D, I don't want it to stick up too far for mailing. And I want it to be so that the bee trail is going to it. So you can adjust as needed depending on where yours is die cut already. And as I go, I'm just going to puff these little edges up a little bit just to give it a little more 3D look. And when I put this on, I'm going to alternate the petals a little bit. If I wanted to line it up, I could do it this way, but then it's going to look more like a daisy. So just do it offset a little bit. And you're going to do that with each one, just offset it a little bit. So for the next one, use the next size down. And just push those up a little bit. Attach this, offset. And last but not least, the small one. And you wouldn't really have to add a center to that if you didn't want to, but I love these opal rounds. They're new in the mini catalog. And by the way, this die set is in that mini catalog as well. So I'm just going to add one of those opal rounds to the middle, just because I like a little bit of bling. If you don't want to add that, you don't have to. And then I'm going to take our saying, and for this I am going to pop it up with my dimensionals. So I'm going to put 2 of those on. Take the backing off. And then I'm going to add that, whoops, right side up would be better. right along the base there. And last but not least, you've got these cute little bees, and I'll show you where those came from. They came from the, I want to make sure I get the name right. They are Dandy Garden 6x6 Designer Series paper. And you get a ton of different patterns. One side of each of them is kind of a little plainer. And then the other side, there's some with dandelions on them. There's some with dragonflies, because there's another set in the mini catalog that goes with this paper. But this one is the one with the bees, and the dies fit right over the top of these bees. You get a lot of bees out of one sheet of paper. You could also use this just as a background paper, but okay. And then I am going to add a dimensional, and you may have to cut your dimensional apart if you want a smaller one. I did not include mini dimensionals in this one because this is the only thing that really requires them, and I thought you could cut one in half if you needed to. If you're careful, you can fit it on with a large one. And then I'm going to just attach him so that he's coming off from that bee trail. And I did pop him up with that dimensional. So there is our finished card. Thanks for watching. If you want more information, you go to My Stamping Garage online. Thank you.